All right, hello Internet, hello Facebook. So here we go. I'm gonna give it about a minute and I'll get started. So I was leaving the house today. My daughter gave me these cards and she said use them wisely. So I'm gonna try. I made some cards. I've never used cards before, so I'm gonna try that first time. First things first, all my CBOS peeps, go home. If you're at work or selling houses right now or showing houses or sitting here in the office, which there's at least 7 people in this place right now, it's about to get really bad, so go home. If you can make it home by 2 or 3 o'clock, my kids got out of school early, so hopefully they'll be home nice and safe, and they'll get warm. So I'll give it about 1 more minute and I'll get started. Hey, Chuck, what's up? So right next to me is Nick Vlasidis. I may ask him to come in and say hi to everybody. He's been wanting to do videos. So I may pound on his wall and ask him to come over. So let me explain to you what I'm doing while I'm here. So I entered into Columbia U postgraduate program, and it is something that I have to do for me. I decided to do it about 6 months ago, and so I'm in it now. And part of this digital advertising campaign that I'm going to do is I have to put out 6 videos, and they give you a choice of what you want. Being in real estate, I want to talk about real estate, so I'm going to talk about some concepts from 2011 to 2018 and things that have never, ever changed. Okay, so I'm going to dive right in, and I'm going to start with this chart. So a lot of stuff I'm going to show you, I'm not going to shove it in your face or talk about this, but this is primarily stuff that is available to anyone. I don't pitch companies. This called Statista. I am a member of Statista. It was about a year ago. I highly recommend Statista. If you Google it, it's a couple of $100 a year, about $500–600 a year. Wonderful company. They will give you any statistical numbers or anything you ever need pertaining to any kind of statistics. Real estate, development, medical, things about employment, things about growth, things about employment, growth or decline. So all these things are available. They'll give you a few charts for free up front, and then it's like $45 a month. There's a premium subscription, but I highly recommend them. So this chart here, you can't probably see it because of how close this is. But if you look at here, starting here to here, the decline of commercial real estate development happened in 2009, okay? And this is value of U.S. commercial construction in billions. If you look at the last 3 years, 13, 14, 15, and 16, that number steadily inclined, and now as of 2016, there was $74 billion with a B, $74 billion spent on commercial real estate. So the reason I'm going to share some things with you before I get into real estate part of it and brokerage side of it and team part of it and all the other stuff is because there's a huge correlation between what's happening in real estate world, business world, and retail world. They're all combined together because there's a huge misconception that retailers are closing their doors because Amazon is putting them out of business. It's completely full. Now, mind you, everything I want to say here is my opinion. So you don't have to listen to me whatsoever. But I'll explain myself why I feel that way, and I'll explain to you what research shows, okay? So starting with this chart, statistics show you that in the last 3 years, there's been a constant incline of what money is being put into commercial real estate. And that's including residential developments such as apartments. So that's included in there and here, but they call them commercial as well. But the amount of office space that's been built in the US and retail space has increased in the last year alone by at least 10%. So it shows you that the numbers of commercial real estate are inclining really, really high. And if they're going really, really high, what that means is that people are building more commercial real estate. If the fact that Macy's and Kmart's of the world and Sears of the world and other companies are closing their doors and there's this huge exit from office space and commercial space and retail space and nobody wants to be anywhere, people want to sit at home on their computers and keep clicking buttons and buying Amazon, was to be true, then this number would go down, not up. Why would commercial investors and different groups of people invest $74 billion in developing and building commercial real estate if people don't want to go somewhere? So that's question number one. So let's talk about that for a second. So here's what I think. So people use examples of Amazon, they use examples of Uber, that there are companies that own absolutely nothing, but they are making all this money and their volume is huge and all this other stuff. So let's dissect two, okay? We're going to talk about Uber and Airbnb, okay? So Uber. First of all, Uber's broke, okay? If you don't believe me, go to any kind of economical news and read what Uber is doing financially. They're losing money every single quarter. They have not turned the point of profit yet. Just because they make more rides, it doesn't mean that they make more money, okay? So that's number one principle. You could have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 non-productive real estate agents that make no money. I correlate that to real estate world. Zero, 30% of a zero is a zero. Okay, so you could do 1 billion rides, but if the money is not coming into the company and just goes to the drivers and the overhead is expensive, you make no money. So that's Uber. So when you start telling me that, look at Uber, don't tell me about Uber. They make no money. Okay, it's just a great concept. However, if you look at Uber, Uber Eats, we don't have them big in Columbus yet, but Uber Eats is the only part of Uber that makes money, okay? So that's setting that aside. So let's talk about these other Airbnb sites where people can book a place to stay. Okay, let me kind of wake you up a little. Orbitz and Travelocity have been doing this for the last 15 years. You can book a hotel in Orbitz or Travelocity. Just because a company is promoting a place to stay, this is not a new concept. There have been booking sites that you can go to and book a place to stay. You don't have to wait for a new company to design or develop their profile. So you don't tell me that all of a sudden there's all these new companies promoting these new places to stay. These companies like Orbitz, Travelocity, Trivago, hotels, Booking.com have been doing this for the last 15 years, and nobody seemed to really care. And all of a sudden you got a company who says, well, you can go to forrentbyowner.com, a much better site with a lot more properties that also is doing really well, but nobody talks about them, okay? So that's that concept. So when you start talking about all these things such as Amazon, Uber, places that, supposedly do all this business, and they don't need space, I will highly disagree with you. Now, let me use these statistics, and all this stuff comes from somewhere, so I will tell you where they come from. So, let's see here. I'm gonna pull this one out. This is an interesting statistic right here. So according to National Retail Federation, so there is a company that's called National Retail Federation. Companies like Costco, IKEA, Dick's Sporting Goods, TJ Maxx, Ultra Cosmetics, Lululemon, Apple, funny enough, in this struggling economy where everybody's really upset about what's happening around us, Hermes, I mean, we're talking about a scarf that cost $400. Hermes have gone to list of number 34 on a growth chart out of 100. 34, they've climbed 53% in revenue. Burberry made a 23% increase in revenue in 2017 and opened up 28 more stores in 1 year. Okay, so all these companies that I've mentioned, and this is all from National Retail Federation report, all these companies have built more space for themselves and opened up more stores for themselves and have implanted a footprint in residential or commercial real estate in different neighborhoods, either being secluded locations, or you could have a location open up within a mall, or somebody is a standalone. For example, Ascena Retail Group owns different brands. In 2017, reported 50% growth in their revenue, and now they're up to 4,816 locations, and they haven't closed any. You know why? Because they own a brand like Justice. Every little girl, if you have one, and I have a 9-year-old, wants to go to Justice and spend money, and they do really well. So the point of me sharing all this wonderful stuff with you about all these retail stores and the growth of commercial real estate and how many billions of dollars have been spent into all of this leads to one answer. The reason that Macy's and other retailers close their doors is not because they don't need retail spaces, because the experience inside that store is not what the consumer is looking for. Period. You can go to Apple's store and wait for hours to get any kind of service, and yet you're still standing there waiting to receive service because it's cool. You can go to Starbucks and sit in line for 25 minutes to get a cup of coffee for $7. And he's still sitting in line. You can go to any of these stores like Costco or IKEA. IKEA is a whole day deal. It's a whole experience of going to IKEA and enjoying it. So the reason I'm talking about all these things now is because they completely correlate to what you do in real estate. So now let's get to the focus point of what I was saying earlier. how does it translate into having an office space in real estate, and why is it important? So I'm looking at the brokerages across spectrum, and that being from independent to brands to whatever you want it to be. And I will share a story with you from my prior experiences, and if this guy's going to eventually watch or listen to what I'm saying, he'll know who I'm talking about. In 2000, probably 8, a guy walked in my office at Remax and said, "Look, I love you, this is wonderful, but our carpets look like crap." Sorry I used that word. And I looked at him and I thought to myself, if this guy is complaining, they probably really do. So the experience of consumer going to an office space has completely changed. If your office space is dark, if your office space is dated, if your furniture hasn't been updated in the last 5 to 6 years, if your computers are all the same from the last 3 or 4 years ago, that is the same experience that I'm talking about that Macy's has gone through and JCPenney without realizing the consumer doesn't want shelf after shelf after shelf with Christmas music playing and a ghost town around them. They want interaction. So therefore, when you start talking about, do we need office space? Could it be an avatar virtual space? Do you really need people to go somewhere? What I'm going to say in the next 5 more minutes is my personal opinion. Number one, a consumer wants a place to go. A real estate agent wants a place to go. A person who really wants to understand what your business is about wants to go to a place. Let me ask you a question. Would you go see a dentist who's renting an office space within joint space where there's somebody else in that building? Would you go to a dental practice where all they do is dental work and you go to a doctor where it's all dentists and technicians? Or would you go to a dentist who's renting a space in some God knows what basement and you have no idea who's around them? That's the same principle that applies to real estate. New computers, new carpet, fresh paint, lots of light, lots of air. All these things are applicable here just as much as an experience with Macy's and Kmart and everybody else. Your typical real estate offices used to look like law firms, and I'm sure that there are people that like those still do. Here's the thing. Your personal likes and what you really like, I like mahogany furniture, I like dark cherry leather. It doesn't matter. The consumer may not want that today. Just like Macy's and Kmart didn't adapt with the times, and now they're closing their doors. And they're not closing their doors because of Amazon putting them out of business. They put themselves out of business. So if you're going to recruit to a team, you're going to recruit to your office, if you're going to set up a brand new operation, if you already have one, so here's a couple of principal keys I'll tell you. They're all written down right here. So first one, location. So people say, well, where do I open my office? I don't know where you live. I don't know what your sphere of business comes from. I have no idea where you're going to recruit from. But here is what we did here, and I'll share with you as to how this happened. We opened a map. We took a pin, and we put it in a central location where we could believe we can get to all kinds of parts of town within 18 minutes or so, easily without huge traffic or blockage. Now, if you're in California, you probably sit in traffic no matter where you are, or New York. If you're in Columbus, Ohio, being in the corner of 270 and 23, you could be anywhere under 18 minutes, maybe 20 if you're not lucky. Okay, so location, what I would do is find a spot where people could easily get to somewhere extremely quick, and that at the end of the day, you could get somewhere reasonably fast and your clients can get to your office fast. So location is really not where you do business, but I think it's where a consumer can come to and know exactly where you are. You can give them landmarks. You can tell them exactly where you're located based on, the highway or the road. So when I tell somebody I'm off 23 and 270, you know exactly where I'm at. So try to find a spot where you can meet someone where they know exactly where to go. So that's what it pertains to location. If you do something in a small market where you're specific to a subdivision, or you're specific to a neighborhood, or specific to something else, yes, you could do that. So a question came up, what if you have multiple locations? How do you pick that? Well, it's really easy. Do brick and mortar truly kill businesses? Yes, if you're not careful. If you didn't negotiate your lease right, if your space is too big, if you believe that you're in the wrong location, people move into a neighborhood, it changes, and all of a sudden you're stuck somewhere you don't want to be. Move. If you feel that you're somewhere else that you don't want to be, move out of there, because the longer you stay there, the more it's going to damage your business. If you're in a building where the lights are dim and your office space is old and it's not yours, and you want to remodel, move. Find a space where you can go to and people are happy to come to because it's nice, bright, and airy, okay? Now, somebody's asking, how many majors do you have to multiple locations? So My belief is that if you have between 0 and 40, maybe 50, you could run out of one spot easily. Some people take a huge amount of space and they'll grow their office to 200. Very possible. If you're running a smaller operation, you could be in one spot anywhere under 50, 60 people and have absolutely zero headaches, and you could have up to 3,000 square feet at the most and save your money. That's my model based on how many agents you have. You could have a smaller office and have 2,000, maybe 2,500 square feet based on how many agents you're attracting to yourself and what the period of time you're going to be there. Now, could you run an office with one room in a reception area? No. Absolutely not. You're not going to attract anyone. They're not going to be liking to come there because it's not a place you want to come to. I visited an office 2 days ago here in Columbus, no names. They had a dirty mug sitting in their counter with their logo. They had a desk and an office to the right. And then I looked to the left down the hallway. There was a psychiatrist. There was somebody else. If that's your model, I'm not knocking you. As long as it works for you, go with it. I want to go to a real estate office where there are other people that work there are realtors, or they're title people, or they're mortgage people, or they're inspectors. They're somehow tied into one business and not being in business of real estate. I don't want to go into a space where there's 1,000 other people working and they have nothing to do with real estate. If that works for you, thumbs up. I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to do it because as long as it's working for you, why would you change it, right? If you're doing a startup and it's a brand new thing, I wouldn't, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, so you start talking about office layout and design. There's been 1,000 different variations of what people have offered. You know, your private offices, smaller offices, joint offices, people that are inclined with having an open space. Here's what I'll tell you I'm noticing, and stop me if I'm wrong. More realtors want to go to the office to work. I don't know why. I'm not questioning it. It's really not something I really want to investigate. Here's the reality. The whole concept I work from home used to be very popular, probably still is. A lot of people are like, oh, I like working from home. Our office space is always packed. There are people there all the time. There are people there different times of the day. We want them to come. We want them to feel welcome. We want them to know that they're here because it's a place to work. If you're discouraging your people from coming to your office because you have one room at a reception area, as long as it works for you, continue doing it. What I'm noticing is completely changing. People want to come to the office space. And in the next couple of segments we're going to do, I'm going to talk about synergy and I'm going to talk about your office models and what they should look like inside. But my belief is that in 2018, offices will become a lot more integrated with people that come to work there. The whole cloud thing and the whole avatar world that you can go and visit someone online. Yes, it's great. It's awesome that technology allows us to do that. It is awesome that you can go online and do all your stuff from home. If, like in my example, my kids have no school and I have to stay at home, it is absolutely amazing that I can do everything I do at home. But at the end of the day, what I prefer to do is get in my car and come to my office. And that's just me. Again, it doesn't matter that it's me. It could be somebody else saying, that doesn't work for me. I want to go to the office. So with that in mind, if you're running a team, my suggestion, and I am now modeling 2 teams here, one locally and one nationally. I'm going after everything they do. And thank you, by the way, if you're listening, for sharing. They have office huddles 4 times a week. They meet in the office 4 times a week. They have meetings. They come to an office place where they work together every single day. And there is somebody who monitors what they do. You know, so if you're a team leader or you're building a team, you know, I may eventually do, because I have 6 sessions like this to do for half an hour each, so I may run out of stuff. But one of them may be just specifically on team building, because somebody's being very nice to share with me as to what they do building their team, so I may share that with you. So it's, in my opinion, that people that are building a positive, productive team, they like to come and have a huddle. They like to come and talk about what the day is going to look like with their team leader. They like to know where their team is going and what exactly they're going to do for the next 2 weeks. They like to have a business plan. They like to have a model of what the team is going to project in this year. So again, it requires office space. It requires a place to go to and do it at, and doing a video conferencing and all the other stuff. Again, if it's working for you, don't change a thing just because I'm doing this video, okay? But what I'm noticing, people coming to the office space a lot more and more to have this energy, to have the, you know, the camaraderie, if you will, for better lack of words, to have the understanding what's happening in the office, how the broker owner is involved, how the management's involved, what's happening inside. They want to know that, okay? So talking about the office layout, knowing all these factors that people like to come more often, I suggest 3 things. I suggest a kind of a congregational area. We have a huge table with, I think, 12 seats around it. People come and congregate around it all day long. We have private offices here. We have semi-private offices here. We have an office that people can come to work from home. Do what works for you. But what I'm suggesting is this. Make it nice enough that the agents want to come there and work. Have a coffee machine. We bring donuts all the time. Have cookies. Once in a while, surprise them with pizza. Make sure that maybe you have some sort of, gathering where you do something with them if they like certain things with food. Do wine tastings, whatever works for you. Again, I can't tell you how to run your business, but make sure that people that work for you, with you, whatever word you want to use, know that they're welcome to come at all times. It'll be a nice and welcoming experience, and see that there's someone there to answer their questions. So therefore, your office layout has to be, adherent to those rules. So make sure there are private spaces to talk. Make sure they can take their clients into a room and close the door and have a conversation. Make sure you have a large conference room where people can come have a closing, have a meeting, do a team powwow. Make sure you have a congregational area. It could be multiple desks. It could be multiple chairs. It could be multiple, little coffee tables. Whatever you want to call your office, a coffee concept or cafe concept, where you could have it as more private, as long as it's clean. It's number one. Fresh. Your equipment's working. Your computers are new. Your technology is good. The lights come on. And there's somebody to answer their questions. That's like 50% of winning. Just to know that that's available. When the agent comes in the office and it feels like they just went into a horror movie dungeon that you see in some sort of horror movies, and I hear that all the time. I'll go to my office and it's really dark and there's no one there. That is not what you want. That is exactly what you should change as soon as you turn your computer off. Actually, go turn your computer off and go change it now. Go to carpet now, okay? And I see that every day. I see offices that are dated. They're just dated. They don't look nice, okay? So the second thing, or third thing, actually, we're going to talk about is regardless if you're building a brokerage or if you're building a team, people always talk about how big of an office space do you need. Okay, so here's my recommendation. If you have under 10 people, on your team or in your office, you really just need a nice reception area. You need probably about 2-3 spaces for agents to come plug in and work. You need a conference room. You as a team leader or a broker or the owner, you need a private office. And maybe you'll need about an office or two that some agents may want to come and work from as a home agent, have a privacy in there. And maybe you want somebody who wants to buy an office or two. Who knows? Maybe some agents want to get them. 1,200 square feet, 1,400 square feet. I don't know what that looks like, but that's your space. Don't go crazy. If you're planning on building a team that's bigger than 10 people, and if you're planning on building a brokerage that's bigger than 10 people, and your number is 20, I don't know, how comfortable you are in your space, 2,000, 2,200 square feet, maybe, okay, maybe get to 25 if you want to. You want to build an office more than 45, 50 people, you need closer to 3,000 square feet. We're busting at the seams here. We're about to take more space next week. So in the reality of why we're taking more space is exactly what I'm telling you. We have agents that come to us and say, can I buy an office? I would like to be here because I feel good being here. And I really want to come and work with you or whoever that may be in your office because I want to come there and feel like I belong. And we see a lot of that every single day. Somebody calls us and says, I need an office space. How can I get office space? So that's becoming really a cool trend for us. We're really enjoying that here because what that does for us is brings synergy to the office. We have more people here. I can walk through the door and count 15, 20 people any given day working around the office. It's awesome. I know they're busy. I know they're asking questions. I know the synergy is there. I know it's positive. I know everybody in here is trying to make something different. They're trying to better themselves. They're trying to help each other out. It's really been really cool and awakening to see that because in 2008, 2009, when market wasn't all that hunky-dory and I was leaving Remax in 2011 when the business got sold, everybody worked from home. Everybody decided to run because everybody was so unhappy. The energy was so bad. Nobody wanted to come to the office. Thank God it's over. The market's great. People are selling and buying and people are happy. Why not embrace that because we have no idea how long it's going to last and nobody has a crystal ball. So while you have the opportunity where people want to be somewhere and be a part of it, why not give it to them? So those are the things that I will talk about in office space. So that gets rid of this card. I'm doing good. And I have another 6 minutes to kill. Okay. So one of the things I talked about is these words. And so since I'm taking this class, this guy was teaching a class is really cool. So he is really cool about this stuff. So I'm going to talk about this. So I've watched now different social media feeds. I have watched things on internet. There's like 1,000 different feeds that come across. And every single one of those feeds talks about all these words. And the most common denominator word is disruptor. So being in class, I asked the question. I said, hey, what do you think about that? So here's the answer that I got from a group of people. So I'm going to share this with you. The response I got back immediately was, why do you want to disrupt anything? Nobody asks that question. Why do you want to use the word disrupt? So first of all, it's extremely hard to disrupt a real estate transaction because you got to have two very common things in a real estate transaction for it to occur. You got to have a buyer and you got to have a seller. If you don't have a seller, there is no transaction. If you don't have a buyer, there is no transaction. So that's really common core grounds, right? Then somewhere along the line, you got to have a title person or an attorney or a title company that does the business for you, right? It's really common sense. And then somewhere along the way comes a real estate broker and an agent or somebody who's involved with all of that. So you've got somebody involved in brokerage and business side of it to where somebody comes in and says, let me help you put this together. So that's us, right? Real estate agents and brokers. Why do you want to disrupt that? What I don't understand is somebody wants to disrupt that all the time. Let's disrupt that. How is that good for anyone? Like, why disrupting things is good? I mean, I could see somebody saying, let's innovate. Let's innovate something new and something positive. Okay. Let's become market leaders in something and do something different that leads us somewhere. Okay. And why would you want to, call it disruption? Why wouldn't you want to call it maybe, I don't know, mastermind seems to be a really common word everybody uses. That's a good word, right? But why disrupt? So now let's try to correlate that to recruiting. So people always talk about, our success and recruiting and all that stuff. Well, you've got to be careful of the words you use. You've got to be really cautious. Let's dissect recruiting as to what recruiting really is. Okay, let's just be really real with this and realize what recruiting in any kind of industry really is. What is recruiting, right? You are asking someone, and this is how I interpret it, to change their lifestyle. That's what recruiting is. Recruiting is sitting across from someone and saying, I know what you're doing is working for you. It seems to be working for you. I want you to stop that. Stop what's working for you and come join us. I think about this for 1 second. You asking somebody to stop what they're doing, stop their lifestyle, stop whatever is working for them, hopefully, because if you're recruiting them, let's dig deeper. If you're recruiting them, they're probably good. They probably do a good book of business. If they're doing a good book of business, they're probably already doing well for themselves in their life, hopefully, and financially. Why would they disrupt that? Because if you want them, if you think that these are the people you want to get, why would they stop all of that just to join you? So think about that. Think about how deep that thought is. You're asking somebody to stop their life and start all over again with you. Why would you want to use the word disrupt? I mean, that just takes me completely out of the equation. If you say to me, let me disrupt your life, what I want to say back to you, please don't. If you say to me, let me disrupt the way I do business, what I say back to you, please don't disrupt the way I do business. If you say to me, we're going to disrupt the industry, my first initial reaction is, why would you disrupt the industry if it's going great, right? So every single year, there's a company or two comes up in the market and they want to disrupt everything. Okay, really, if you think about it, Amazon didn't disrupt anything. There has been catalogs. JCPenney had a JCPenney catalog before internet was invented. Think about it. JCPenney had a catalog before the internet even existed. As a matter of fact, JCPenney missed the mark of not putting their catalog online. If JCPenney put their catalog online before Amazon showed up and then incorporated other things into that catalog, I don't think they would be struggling right now. So the reality of the matter is Amazon didn't put anybody out of business because they disrupted anything. They disrupted nothing. They found an avenue where things could be done better. They innovated. They didn't disrupt, they innovate. So start talking about these words, interrupter, disruptor, and all the other things. So when you're recruiting, I want to be, and this is kind of an intro thing into that, right? So maybe there was a whole other segment on that. Don't use words like disruptor or disrupt. If you're going to change someone's life, try to do it in a positive way and tell them that maybe perhaps they need a promotion from wherever they're at now to a next place. Use the word promotion. Maybe they need a change of atmosphere, a change of life. Maybe they need something to change themselves. Maybe they need some sort of a new kickstart, something brand new. Maybe they're just tired of what they've been doing for so many years. Maybe people join companies, we're going to talk about it in the next segment, and they leave managers. Maybe their manager or a broker is just really not who they used to be. People change. That's not disruptive behavior if they want to leave. Why would you going to tell them that they're disrupting something if they're leaving? They're not. And you don't want to disrupt their life. You want them to do better. So again, I promise to touch on these things. Don't use words that make people feel like something bad's about to happen. I mean, use words that are going to make people feel nice and warm and fuzzy and honest. And people that, because those are big words, like, I'm going to disrupt something. What does that mean? I don't know. You're going to use examples of things that really, I see people constantly use Uber. Uber's broke. We talked about that 5 minutes ago. Don't use them. So that's it. I'm not going to kill this to death anymore. So 2 more things, and I'm almost there. I got about 30 more seconds to go. Why do stores close? And somebody came up and said, hey, why do stores close? Why is this happening? I'm going to tell you exactly why they close, okay? You've got to experience things in a different way. We're in 21st century, but I will tell you one thing that's now anymore is not an option. And I will tell you that there's one thing anymore is a requirement, okay? And it's thinking, okay? Thinking is not an option anymore. You have to think about things. You can't just get up in the morning and go do something without thinking about it, number one, and number two, researching it. That's what this has done, this platform we're doing now, this live book video and this class I'm in and the social media thing and all this stuff, it's here for one reason. Research and knowledge, that's it. Internet was not invented, or if there's such even thing as invention of internet, to shop. I know it sounds like a crazy concept. Internet was not invented to shop. It was invented for research and knowledge. So use it for that. So when people start asking questions of why the stores close, it's really simple. They haven't gotten with times. Their experience hasn't changed. If I go to, here, I'm going to give you $1 million idea sitting right here. So if you do this, you owe me. Like you owe me, I'll take 10% perpetuity for life. So make a note right here. There is your business proposition right here, how to make $1 million in the next 12 months. You have a pen and paper? Open up a store that's called Just Jeans. Hear me out. Just jeans. Can sell just jeans. Sell nothing else but jeans. But you know what you do? You hire a couple of really good people. People not like me, not my age. People that look good. People that know what they're doing. And it doesn't matter if they're men or women. People that understand what you want from them culture-wise. Have young men and women with iPads in the store. Make sure they're trained professionals. Give them measure tapes they can wear around their neck. And you customize and build jeans for people that want a specific type of a jean made for them. Have different fabrics, make holes in them, put different logos on them, do whatever you want with these jeans. You produce jeans custom made, and you will have a line out the door standing for days wanting to order custom jeans. Small office, or what do you call a small retail shop, preferably in nice hip areas. Go into different towns where people love this stuff, go to millennials, and make custom jeans. Have very low inventory on the shelves where they can come and touch fabric. Maybe have a couple of jean pairs pre-made that they can walk in and grab one and go if they need one. And make custom jeans. And then you can put anything you want on these jeans. Whatever they desire, you can have options. You have an iPad, they come in, you measure them, you put them on. You use a TV like this. You put a body of a human being that's spinning, and it shows them their body and tells them exactly what their jeans are going to look like. And then within 7 days, magic happens. They get their beautiful custom jeans. That's why Macy's is closed, because they haven't done that. Because you go to Macy's and it's the same 3 brands of jeans that fit all. That is exactly what real estate is today. It's not a world of avatar. It's not virtual. People still want to come and touch things. They just want a different experience. So if you're working somewhere and it's a virtual office, if it works for you, go for it. If you're working somewhere and it's one of the spaces, what do they call Regis or something else, and you're sharing space with 1,000 other professionals, and the guy who's writing a letter to Nigeria to borrow money, good for you. I'm not knocking anybody, because as long as you're working and making money, it's working for you, right? So I'm not here to change your behavior. What I'm telling you is, the reality of those stores that have closed and transitioned from all this other stuff that's happening completely correlates to real estate world, brokerage business, and agent business, or a team business where you're building a team. You've got to have a space for them to come and feel welcomed. It has to be a completely different experience. And what I mean by experience, it has to be not your typical real estate office where you walk into and you got to ring a little ding bell for someone to come from the back, and it's typically somebody who doesn't want to help you, or it's someone who comes in and says, oh, they're here to bother me. So that's not welcomed anymore. And that's exactly why other stores have closed their doors, and other stores like Costco's and IKEA and Apple and Starbucks are prospering because they've changed the experience. So to wrap it up, I'm 4 minutes over. This is my video number 1. I'm done for the day. Let me see if there's anything else here, if any other questions. Let's see here. Somebody said something about ordering new flooring from me. Okay, if I need to do flooring, I'll order new flooring from you, dude. I promise. So thank you for watching. If you are, I appreciate it. Hopefully it was helpful. If you have any more questions about office layout or space, tag me, call me. I'll take pictures of what we have done here. I'll show you pictures of offices I visited in the last couple of weeks. If you don't know, I go to the offices all the time. I visit real estate companies on a consistent basis. I go into all kinds of different spots just to see what they're doing. I've never been escorted out. Maybe I will one day now that I'm doing this. So thanks for watching, and I will see you probably sometime next week on Thursday to do a follow-up. I think our next one is going to be on commission splits. That should start some controversy. I think one of the things that I'm mesmerized by the words like cap, split, and others, I'm not going to get into details now, are still relevant. And I think that started, do you know that the first open house, I'm going all over the place today. The first open house was held in 1941 in New York. Did you know that? You're in real estate, hopefully you know stuff. First open house was 1941 in New York City, and it was held by a broker or an agent out of a small Italian brokerage who was trying to start NAR. And here we are, 70 years later or so, still doing open houses and still using words like cap and split. So something's there. I know it's not changing, so we'll talk about that next time. If you have any more questions, let me know, and I appreciate you watching. So I'm out. Be safe out there. It's about to start snowing. Have a good weekend.